We can find out everything in this world, but not the truth. When the truth is revealed, you feel you can satisfy. By analyzing, realizing, can come to know one day. Second one, because I have no time to explain. Vicikiccha. Vicikiccha, here the word is given, doubt. It's not ordinary doubts that we have about so many other things. I doubt about so many things here in this world, but not that type of doubts. The doubts that we maintain in our mind as a skeptical doubt without reasoning, without using our common sense unbiasedly, stubbornness. This is called sakkaya, a skeptical doubt. Take, for instance, we have enough reasons to believe that good karma create good effect. Bad karma create bad effect. Within this life, time or hereafter. But to many people, there's no value in this kind of thing. They don't believe that kind of doubt. They doubt about it. If not, we have enough reason to prove that this is not the first and the last line. So we never appeared in this world accidentally. Or this is not a coincidence. Life is a continuity of mental and elemental process. So some others say, oh, we don't believe that. There won't be anything, this is the only one. This kind of belief. Under this. Then some others. Morals and immorals. Accepted by the whole mankind, certain things. But not the man-made moral. Man can make morals at any time, next time become immoral. Immorals become moral, morals become immorals. This is the nature of man-made laws, morals. Not this type of one. There are natural, universal moral code. No one can deny. But even then, there are many who reject this kind of. Nothing wrong. We can do. We must have liberty to do anything, whatever we like. They don't want to follow any kind of moral code or ethical code or discipline. Let us take animals. They are not following any religion. There is no government to enforce punishment or law for them. And they have no idea of God or punishment or reward. Even then, they have their own normal principles. Each group, intrinsic. In the animal instinct, we can see they don't want to change their way of life. But we have spoiled many animals associating with them, and now they follow a human being, human way of life. But they are paying the price for that. although they get good food, they have lost their own identity. Now they cannot live without human beings. We have spoiled them. That's why some people, after keeping dogs and cats and feeding them, look after them, when they want to go away, what they do? They ask people to kill them. They say, without us they cannot survive. We can see how we have spoiled them. But they were born to this world to live, to find out their own food and their way of life, but spoiled. For mankind, or human beings, since their minds, the development of their mind started long ago. Formerly we were also like them. So when the development starts to take place, actually what we have developed, more craving, more anxieties, more ambitions. But others have no such feeling. They struggle for their survival, food and this and that sort. They have no anxieties. Then we discovered many things to prolong our way of life. That means for long life, healthy life, good life, strong life. For what? For enjoyment. To enjoy. That is why we always go and pray, asking God to have long life, long, healthy life. What is the purpose? To enjoy. So what we develop as our way of life is our craving. That is why we are scared to die. When you think of death, we don't want to talk about death, as if that they never die. They don't want to talk. The reason is that there are many reasons. We regard animals as very unfortunate living beings. It is true. But in certain aspects, they are more fortunate than us. The worries that we maintain in our mind about our life, about our future, about our property, about our children, and old age, and sicknesses, and death, and hereafter, heaven and hell, also worrying here. Those poor animals have no such feeling. They are completely free from all these worries. Everybody is worrying about some of these things. What is the reason? Reason is craving. Nothing but craving. But I can tell you very frankly, although I am a Buddhist, but I am not a Buddhist like you. I am entirely a different type of Buddhist. I preach, I teach, I practice Buddhism, but my Buddhism is not your Buddhism. But don't follow me. It's not good for you. I never worry about my future, old age or death. I never worry. And I never worry about my next birth. Whether I want to go to heaven or hell or somewhere else, that is not my job. It is not my decision that I made at this moment, not depend on my belief or my imagination. It depends at the last moment The karmic energies that I have deposited in my mind, that karmic energy is responsible. Kammang satte vibhajati adidang hina panitata. At that moment, that one particular karma is responsible for the next appearance, next existence. Whatever belief you have doesn't work. So I never worry about my next birth. I never pray to anybody to go to heaven or go to nirvana. No, I don't want to go anywhere. I do my work, I do my duty, I try my best not to harm others, to lead a harmless life, religious life. That is enough for me to satisfy. And if there is no rebirth at all, I am not worried. Why should I worry? I never lose anything. Do your duty without neglecting. Do your day-to-day work without worrying about your old age or death or next birth. Then there won't be, we can reduce many of our worries. So the doubt we maintain regarding these things, without facing facts, disturb our mental development, spiritual development, or insight. That is the second item. Last one is Silabbata Paramasa. There are three words there. Sila, Vata, Paramasa. Sila, we also use the same word for our observance, precept. 5 precept, 8 precept, 10 precept. Also we use the word Sila. Here, people observe certain vows as their Sila by thinking that they can wash away all their sins they have committed earlier by observing this. Again, some people observe certain vows, thinking through these vows or practices they can attain their final salvation, heaven or nirvana or moksha. Then cling to this practice. Depend on these practices as the main purpose of their religious way of life. That is what the Buddha says here. Not to depend on these beliefs and practices. You have seen. In certain countries, even here, what sort of vow they make and what sort of rituals they perform. Those who have observed certain vows, how they torture their physical body, how they burn here and there, how they starve without taking food, and certain other practices as their vows. They may experience some immediate effect to get rid of certain sicknesses for the time being. Some problem. But that is not the solution to get rid of human problems or suffering. So we should not depend on them thinking this is our religious way of life to find out our peace and happiness and salvation. Second item, rites and rituals. Those days, they had animal sacrifice. Thousands of animals they collect and cut and burn and offer in the name of God to please God. Thinking that they can find out their salvation through this practice. But still this feeling, this belief remains in the man's mind, a lesser degree. That is why whenever there is any festival occasion or religious festival, many of those people, they slaughter animals, thinking this is a religious duty, religious service, must slaughter animal. But that belief they had long ago, still they maintain. Then burning so many things as their religious practice to satisfy their mind. These are the things Buddha has mentioned as rites and rituals and sila. So as long as we maintain these beliefs, there is no mental purity to gain the spiritual development, to attain even the first stage of sainthood. These are the three things here. So those who have developed this insight are free from these three. They never maintain that concept of self. They have no doubt about the truth, and they have no such belief. Through these practices, they can find out their salvation. Then the next one, Silabbatang Mapi Adatti Kinchi. From the four states of misery is absolutely free. That means until we attain this first stage of sainthood, there is no guarantee whatsoever that rebirth never takes place in one of these four unfortunate states. Although we have a lot of good karma, because we do not know what sort of, or the amount of bad karmas we have accumulated earlier or during the previous birth, we do not know. That is why we need more and more good karma to overcome many of them. We cannot eradicate, but overcome. What are those four? Naraka, Tirachhina, Preta, Asura. Then, after that we can say we are free from these four. Unfortunate state. But today we cannot say. Even my case also I cannot say. I cannot guarantee, even for myself. This is the nature of the mind. But first one, hell. Hell means suffering. Suffering forever. Forever means not eternal. As long as life exists, nothing but suffering. That is called hell. But no eternal punishment or suffering. Next one, animal kingdom. Although there are few animals who enjoy good food and shelter, all the others are suffering from birth up to death. And the nature of animal kingdom, their way of life is, for their survival, one animal depends on other. They eat each other. Go to the jungle and see. And in the water, how do they survive? In the sea, they go on eating one after the other according to their size. This is the nature of animal kingdom. So they are always in fear. Fear is there. And they are in the dark about their life. They do not know anything about their fate. They do not know how to cultivate anything, either good karma or morals or religious way of life, in the dark. The difference between a plant or a tree and an animal, only animals have a mind to go here and there, find out the food and enjoy sex and shelter and sleep and self-preservation, instinct to avoid their death. They know how to escape. Even then they will be caught. Otherwise there is no difference between a plant and animals. But human mind developed, but there are evil forces, there are devils in the human mind. Devils come and occupy it in the mind. And they mislead, misuse, abuse human way of life. Three main devils: craving, hatred, ignorance. These are the biggest devils. These three always mislead us. That is why we are bad. That is why we cannot trust each other. That is why we are scared of human beings today. In fact, we are not scared of animals today. Devils and ghosts and spirit, only few people. In my case, I am not scared of any devils or any ghosts. No such feeling in my mind. But I am scared of you. This is the nature of human mind. So, animal life is not a fortunate one, very unfortunate in various respects. But when you compare our way of life and animals' way of life, animals are free from many of our problems that we have created in our mind. Then, Preta and Asura, two kinds of invisible living beings. We have different names. Some are good, some are bad. That means some can disturb, some others support. If you can understand their nature, their character, their behavior, there is no reason for us to be scared of them. It is due to lack of this understanding we worship them, pray to them. But if you can understand, there is no reason. Because we are more intelligent than those stupid devils and ghosts. They are real stupid. And why we surrender our human intelligence to those stupid fellows? If you know how to use our human mind, then when you develop our mental energy, the spirit and ghost run away. They never come near us. They are scared of us. But we surrender ourselves to them because of our ignorance. But they do exist. We cannot deny. They are not fortunate ones. They too cannot accumulate good merits or cultivate their way of life for their spiritual development. So that is why we regard them as unfortunate living beings. Human beings are very fortunate in that respect, but unfortunately our ignorance, craving, always mislead us. So after that we will be free from the fourth state of misery, is absolutely free, and is incapable of committing the 6 kinds of, say, simple word, 6 kinds of mortal sin, because this word is very common. After attaining this first stage of sainthood, it is impossible for them to commit any of these 6. But beside these 6, still they are subject, or quite possible, to make other mistakes, because the minds are not completely free. Still they have craving in their mind, not eradicated completely, or they are suppressed and controlled. What are those 6? I have read many books written by some so-called Buddhist scholars. Actually, they really could not understand the real meaning of these 6 kind of bad karmas. A Sotapanna, one who attained the first stage of sainthood, impossible to commit. They interpret this as 5 precepts and another one. It is wrong, not the 5 precepts. A man who has attained the first stage of sainthood can commit any of these 5, violate any of these 5, because mind is not free from craving, but not like ordinary people. Occasionally, under certain circumstances, they may violate. But these 6 are entirely different, not the 5 precepts. Pancha Anantariya, 5 kinds of mortal sins are impossible to commit. What are those 5? Killing own mother, own father, then killing an arahant who have attained the highest stage of sainthood. Then the Buddha. No one can kill a Buddha if there is a real Buddha, not a ready-made Buddha that you have created. You have so many Buddhas and you celebrate birthdays also, but no horoscope. But ready-made Buddha, real Buddha, impossible to kill, but can make injuries, bloodshed. That is the 4th. Last one is only for the monks, not for lay people. When lay people commit this bad karma, that under the category of ordinary bad karma, but never come to this group. But when a monk commits this kind of thing, it becomes this mortal sin. What is that? Creating misunderstanding or enmity or dispute amongst the Sangha community, dividing into 2. Many monks have done this. But in your case, if you have done this, it will never become a mortal sin, but remain as a bad karma in the other list. 5. The other one is called Micchaditti. 5. The other one is called Micchaditti. Micchaditti means wrong concept, wrong belief, a skeptical belief regarding the idea that I have mentioned earlier. There is nothing wrong by committing, violating so-called immoral practices. We must have freedom to do anything, whatever we like, and we don't believe all these things and teachings and religions and advices. Each and every man must have freedom to carry on his way of life. This kind of belief called wrong concept, wrong belief. Free from these six. Impossible to violate any of these six. Beside these, they may occasionally make some mistake until they attain the higher stage. Now, these are the great qualities and virtues and sacredness in them. That is why we try to concentrate, develop our devotion, we respect them, try to follow them. That is called religious life. Number 11. Kincha piso kammam karoti papakam kayena vacha uddha chetasava abhabbo so tassa paticchādāya abhabbata dittha padassa. There is something for you to learn here. The English translation. Whatever evil deed he does, whether by deeds, words or thought, he is incapable of hiding it. For it had been said that such an act is impossible for one who has seen the path. Can you understand? What does it mean? We are talking about whom now? Talking about the Buddha or Arhantas or anybody else? Where are we now? We were talking about the Sangha community, the monks who have attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapan. So we have been explaining the qualities and virtues and the characteristics of those disciples, Sangha. This is one of them, one of the qualities. Last Friday, I think I have already explained what are the important duties for them to fulfill in order to attain that first stage of sainthood. That means the eradications of certain mental hindrances which always disturb the spiritual development. So when those three hindrances are no more in their mind, then attain the first stage of sainthood. Can you remember those three? What is the first one? To get rid of the strong belief that we maintain that there is some sort of entity, substance or energy which can last forever without changing. So people have given different names for this, such as a spirit or soul or mental energy. So whatever name that they use. The Buddha has rejected all these things. So, as long as we maintain this belief in our mind, we never get the chance to attain even the first stage of sainthood. Forever remain as worldly people. Never become holy people. That is the first item. Second one, the skeptical doubt that we maintain in our mind without clear vision or understanding regarding certain important aspects in our religion. That means, take the Buddha. We have our own imagination about the Buddha. We have made up all sorts of stories about him. By neglecting all the important virtues and good qualities and wisdom and enlightenment. So our concept about the Buddha is not clear. That is what he says. Can you remember the famous sayings of the Buddha? Yo dhammang passati, so mang passati. One who sees my Dhamma, my teaching, sees me. One who can understand what he taught, can appreciate, can see the real Buddha. Not knowing what he taught, so whatever imaginations we create in our mind about the Buddha, all these concepts are wrong. We create our own Buddhas according to our way of thinking. So we should not have certain doubt in our mind. Of course, at the beginning we have doubts, but we have to clarify these doubts, to understand him. This kind of doubts about the Dhamma and the religious way of life, religious principles, cause and effects. The doubts that we maintain in our mind always disturb our spiritual way of life. Second one. Third one. So I am repeating again and again for you to remember, otherwise you cannot remember. People always depend on various religious rites and rituals and ceremonies, thinking that they really practice their religion. They satisfy by performing all these rites. Not only that, they also believe that they can get rid of the bad effects of the evil deeds or the bad karma that they have done earlier by performing these religious rites and rituals. If not, by observing certain vows. Vows means to torture their own physical body, thinking that they can get rid of the bad karma, karmic effects by doing so. Two methods. And the other one is by performing certain religious rites to please God. Those days they have done this by sacrificing animals, thousands of animals at a time. They burn in the name of God to please Him, not to punish them for their bad deeds. These ideas have been introduced by primitive people who could not understand things properly, but still people want to follow these things. In fact, even amongst some educated people, still there are some belief in them. We must, when somebody dies, we also must kill another living being. Otherwise, the bad effects may come to us. This psychological, this is the primitive man's idea, still working in our mind. We must kill. That's why they have started slaughtering animals when somebody dies. So that belief really disgrace our human intelligence and education. This kind of rites and rituals. When our minds are free from these three, then we can gain the first stage of sainthood. But not simply by accumulating merits. You must understand the difference. You can do a lot of good karmas. That means accumulate. The effects of the good karmas is for you to experience more comfortable, pleasurable, worldly life. That's all. Merits cannot take you to sainthood or arahanthood or nirvana. But people never think the effects of the good karmas or the merits means to an end. That means after experiencing the good result, no more, evaporated. Then again we have to accumulate more and more. When there are no more good karmas for us to enjoy pleasure, then we suffer. We have to suffer. This is the uncertainty of our life, or the effects of the worldly karmas that we accumulate. But for the attainment of sainthood, these good karmas cannot do anything for you. Temporarily, you can experience some sort of comfortable life, but you do not know anything about your fate, your future. What will happen to you when there are no more good karmas to support you? So only thing that we can do, try to reduce selfish desire. If you can try, then you experience more peace, more calmness in your mind, then some sort of contentment. Otherwise, so many disturbances. So the Buddhism is for that purpose. The purpose of a religion is to experience more worldly pleasures. You can seek these things from somewhere else, but not from Buddhism. Buddhism tried to contribute something extraordinary, happiness which others cannot contribute. That is why we do not emphasize too much about heavenly bliss as aim of our life or the final goal. It is wrong. In the Buddhist context, it's very clearly wrong, mentioned by the Buddha. Because this so-called heavenly bliss also impermanent, subject to the universal law of impermanency. So we cannot take heaven as our final goal. That is not the end of our journey. Because heaven is still under worldly conditions. But all the others talk about heaven, that's all. This spiritual development go further to purify the mind, to maintain unchangeable happiness, experience complete satisfaction in our life. We cannot experience satisfaction in our life by gaining any kind of worldly pleasure. We develop more and more craze in our mind. Then that crazy attitude again disturbs the mind. We never analyze in that way because we are worldly minded. Here, Arhantas have gone further, but we are talking here about Sotapanna, first stage. Not only monks, laymen also, without becoming monk, some of them have attained this first stage of sainthood. So the renunciation is not compulsory in that respect, but that life is more congenial, more suitable to lead a religious life. That is why renunciation is important. Renunciation does not mean changing our way of life or the dress or daily routine. But this renunciation can be done although we stay at home. No need to change your dress. No need to change your food. No need to go to jungle. The real renunciation takes place in the mind. If you can reduce many kinds of crazy attitude that you maintain in your mind, that is a renunciation. If you can reduce too much of indulgence, pleasures, by knowing the fleeting nature of your pleasure, it is a renunciation. By reducing your extraordinary amusement, entertainment, sensual pleasures, to maintain some sort of calmness in your mind. It is a renunciation. then you can go on developing furthermore. Reduce your craving, reduce your selfishness, withdraw your jealousy from your mind. All these things under renunciation. So now you can understand where these real renunciations remain. A monk can say easily he has renounced because he has changed his dress, hairstyle, daily routine. Can say he has renounced. But if craving, selfishness, and too much attachment toward worldly things, and jealousy and anger and grudge, if all these things remains in that person's mind, then where is the renunciation? That is why I told you, to renounce our way of life, to lead a religious way of life, not necessary to run away from your home. This is also a gradual development. You cannot give up everything at once. It is not practical. According to your understanding, education, your age. So renunciation must be done gradually with conviction, with understanding. By force you cannot renounce anything. You regret later. But a person, if really can change the atmosphere, way of life, can concentrate more on spiritual development, peace of mind. Because at that time he does not experience too much external disturbances. If not, too much temptation. These are the two things which contribute to maintain a religious way of life. To avoid from temptation and to keep away from disturbances. Because disturbances irritate us. Then the hidden anger, grudge, enmity, misunderstanding, we develop in the mind because of the disturbance. Temptation arouses our selfish desire, craving to indulge more and more. These two things disturb the mind. When once a person has renounced these two, then very easily can control that mind, train that mind for the spiritual development. This is called religious life. Then a person who has attained the first stage of sainthood also can commit evil deeds. That is why it is mentioned here, whether by deeds, words, or thoughts. So there are three channels. Always we use either to do good deeds or bad deeds, good karma or bad karma. By mind, we create bad karma and good karma by using our mind. Using our words, we create good karma and bad karma. By using our physical body or through our action, we create good karma and bad karma. These are the three. But mind is responsible for all these things. So divided into three. Pranaghata, Paradabba, Paradar. Three main evil deeds we commit by using our physical body. Killing other living beings or disturbing, we have to use. By using our mind or simply by talking directly, we cannot kill. But we can ask another person to kill, that but makes no difference. Killing or stealing. Under stealing, bluffing, cheating, smuggling, all the evil and immoral practices. Then sexual misconduct. Some others introduce as committing adultery. But Buddhists do not use that word because their definition is different. It is called sexual misconduct. Not to misuse, not to abuse, not to insult human dignity by misusing sex. It clearly shows Buddhism never taught anything against the indulging sex, but respectable way, reasonable way, not under sexual misconduct. Now these are the three things that we commit by using our physical body. Then by using our words, how many? How many? 4. Musa, Pesunya, Parusa, Samphappala. 4 kinds of evil deeds or bad karma.